10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. What a fight! I think Canelo won it.
Juan, the Hispanic causing panic, Lascano.
Thanks to those joining me live and those who will be joining us here on the archive. This is Hispanics, Cause, and Panic. I'm being joined by the one and the only Cali X Boxing. How's it going, Cali X?
Oh, you know, I'm ready to talk some boxing.
That's
hopefully
right.
we don't make people mad today, but I think everybody
will make people mad. I don't get called DEI style, and you know what I mean. Like, I don't know. Let's just hope we hold strong here. Okay, let's hope we get through it. Shout out to JC saying we're late, cuh. Anthony Sanchez, how's it going?
You late, cuh?
Yeah, Chet Cunningham in the building as well. Make sure you guys hit the like button if you're listening on the archive. We were at 70 something likes in the last show, and it's kind of like, what happened to the day? Remember the glory days where we get like 100 likes?
100 likes. I mean, it's all we asked for. It's 100
when we
likes.
When we came back, we smashed it, and then they're like withheld it after that.
Ask your abuelita, abuela, ask them to hit the like button. Ask your nephew to hit the like button.
I spent saying this is a political channel. Why y'all talking boxing all of a sudden? Like, I don't know. Well, there's a lot of politics in boxing, in fairness.
That's true.
All right. So believe me, politics will come up. Sports Fanatics, what's the latest news? We have a lot to talk about. First of all, you know, we need to start with the women's boxing topic. You know what I mean? Because it's important to just start it. So you have any women's boxing topic you want to bring up, Alex? Or are you gonna just be a chauvinist, you know, machismo dude, or what?
No, what I would say though is paint. Despite what you say, Paintgate is a real thing. Those two girls, those two camps knew what they were doing with that. That paint thing, that's not.
You think they were all in on it?
They were all in on it. Both teams.
So Sandy Ryan did the whole like the photo when she took off all her clothes and like she showed the paint. Do you think that was? You didn't believe her when she looked distraught?
No.
What about the like when they caught it on camera with the trainer's like, if you go fight, I'm not gonna go out there with you.
Mm-hmm. All fake,
man.
All WWE. Paintgate is real.
I don't believe that.
It's true. It's the truth.
Like, you don't think that was a real thing?
No. I think it was all fake, all for publicity.
Okay.
So that's my women's boxing spiel for the day.
It's literally a red paint spill, right?
Yeah, red paint spill.
But here's the thing. Now, I don't necessarily agree that they were all in on it, right?
Yeah,
but do you know? But do you think it was a genius move?
Oh yeah, genius move. Look at the poster. It's got paint on it. It's bad blood, right? Bad blood, just like the color of the paint. Bad blood. And
do you believe them? Like when they do these interviews and they're like, "I don't like you, Michaela." Like, well, you don't like me because you took my trainer. Like, you don't believe the whole. Like, you don't buy the animosity.
There is some animosity there, but the paint thing, the two teams came together and they worked on that together. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the women's topic for the. I know. Carlos.
Really Carlos was fiending for that. Carlos wanted the women's boxing talk.
100%. Now, in all seriousness, though, whether it was on purpose or not, aside, They took full advantage of that on the fight poster. They got the paint in the background, all like, and in fairness, that was the highest rated boxing match last year on ESPN.
It was.
You know, so it just shows you what you got to show you. Now, with that said, Calix, speaking of ESPN, so it's official. Like ESPN and Top Rank are walking away, or ESPN is walking away. They're not going to be renewing the exclusive deal that Top Rank has with them. Whoa, what are your thoughts on it?
It's expected, right? There were talks of possibly Top Rank would stick. I mean, ESPN would stick around with a much smaller budget, but obviously not. I think ESPN has decided boxing is no longer the business to be in. I think it's good news for boxing, to be quite honest with you. As bad as that sounds, as terrible as that sounds, I think the consolidation needs to speed up. This accelerates us towards a boxing league that I think is coming later this year.
Oh,
And I think the sport is too fractured for, especially in America, the lack of talent that it currently has. It's too fractured. It needs to be centralized. It needs to be consolidated. And Turkey and the Saudis are, with the help of possibly Dana White, TKO Promotions, are gonna consolidate the sport and try to bring it under one umbrella, maybe rein things in with sanctioning bodies, maybe do one belt, that type of thing, one ranking system, stuff like that. But the sport badly needs to be consolidated. It's too fractured. Like I said, people are going to get mad at me for saying this, but the sport, the talent level in the sport isn't anywhere close to what it was in the past. We're not producing the same amount of great fighters. We're not producing the stars that we once did. So we need to consolidate this sport and try to pitch it better to the casual public. The issue, though, is it seems like most of it is going towards the zone. The zone is going to be like the main hub of boxing, not only boxing, but combat sports. If you're going to do that, you need to do a better job of selling the zone in America, because less than 1 million subscribers, the zone subscribers in America. So if you're trying to pitch the American audience, you're obviously losing a big network here in ESPN. ESPN's ratings were much better than that of Showtime, HBO. Towards the end, you see some of these ratings like 850,000. I think you were alluding to it earlier. I think Michaela Mayer fight peaked at like 1.1 million, something like that. Tiafimo was doing close to 1 million in ratings. So we're losing a big audience there. So the zone's going to have to do a better job of customer service and build some trust with the audience, because you've had your issues with the zone. We all have, right? Raising subscription prices, pay-per-views, buffering. They have to do a better job with quality. They have to do a better job of customer service, because we need to get the zone in American audiences if we want boxing to come back in America. Because right now it's bad. The numbers in America are terrible when it comes to boxing. We have the least amount of talent we've ever had. For the first time ever, we don't really have a star in America. Canelo's leaving. He's going to Saudi. That's the big story with this deal, is he's leaving. He's got one more fight here in the next 2 years. He's leaving. So who's going to be the guy to carry the torch in America? I don't know who that is.
Yeah, a couple of things. So one, anytime we would bring this up, like, I don't know, man, they're overpaying that fighter, and I don't know why they're doing that. They're not getting anything in return in terms of the ratings. This is not good. What's the answer we always got, right? People that don't have foresight, they don't think ahead. They just think in the moment. Well, what do you care? ESPN's paying the bills, so Top Rank's not losing money. ESPN's paying. So what do you care? What do you care? What do you care? Well, because stuff like this happens, right? This is what happened with HBO. This is what happened with eventually Showtime. This is what happened with now ESPN, right? They look at the books and they say, we're paying way too much money for what we're getting in return.
Yep.
Right. We could literally play a random baseball game, any basketball game, a college sport, whatever, and it's going to get the same amount of viewers, and we don't have to pay this spoiled fighter $4 million or $6 million for the night. Right. That is just a cold, hard reality.
Yeah, but to
Right.
that, the sad part about it is they see boxing as so insignificant that they're not going to overpay for it, because we're in a and you know this, we're in um a time right now where it's an arms race, and live streaming, you need live streams to sell Hulu, YouTube, all this stuff, YouTube TV, Amazon, Netflix. You need live streams, you need live TV. So in order to do that, you need sports. You need sports to sell your live streaming. You need sports. So what's happening now is they're overpaying for TV rights to NBA. They're overpaying for TV rights to NFL. They're overpaying to TV rights for the SEC, Big Ten, whoever else is out there, ACC. They're overpaying for rights to these sports leagues. And even though they're doing that, they're saying boxing is so insignificant in America that I'm not even going to worry about overpaying them. That we're just letting that go. And that's the sad state of where we are in America. And you try to warn people over the past 5-10 years. How many times we tried to warn people that this is coming, that the sport is in a massive decline in this country, and they just call you all kind of names for it, instead of just seeing the reality of the situation and why we are where we are right now.
Well, all true. But to make matters worse, like this is the issue, right? It's the pains and the headache of trying to get these fighters to fight each other, right?
Yeah.
On top of all of it, it's like it takes forever to get something done. It takes
Mhm.
forever to, and then the reality, like the market value and what these fighters want are, I mean, stratospheres apart.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's just. Do you remember how Teofimo Lopez was talking, like about how much money he? I want 100 million. I want 20 million. Like, it's the
I
type
want
of
100
money.
million. I want to fight in the Sphere. I want to, and he can't even fight in the big room in his own city. He's never even fought. He's never been outside the theater at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, like the cold hard reality is that they couldn't build they had all these years to build a star for the network, and they couldn't do
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
That's just the truth, right?
Exactly. And it's
And
across the board,
yeah,
right?
and then
Because what happens with Top Rank, I've talked about this, is
yeah,
they do a good job of matchmaking at the beginning and building some resistance earlier on to see if this is worth investing more in, right? But at the same time, Nando told me the same thing yesterday. You're saying in here, they never built the star. One of the issues that they had was, once they get a fighter to a certain point, the fighter sees what this guy's getting paid at PBC, what this guy's, and then they start, and then they become a free agent. And then what happens is they'll get picked off, or they'll say, I'm not getting paid enough for this fight
yeah,
because
but
look at what this fighter's
but
getting
here's
paid over there.
here's like the issue. I just looked it up. The average NBA regular season game average was 1.6 million viewers.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know off the top of my head. Do you know how many games they play a year, Alex?
82. Each team.
82 among 32 different teams, meaning they could play any NBA game, just a random NBA game, and it's going to get higher ratings than a Teofimo Lopez fight, or the highest rated women boxing match in all the year in ESPN, and Mayer versus Ryan, even with their phenomenal marketing of the paint. Right? They try to, the modern day Harding and Kerrigan, remember that?
Yeah.
Right? Like they tried that, and it's still, I'm not saying, college is saying they tried it. I think it organically happened, right? But the highest rated boxing match of the year got less ratings than your average NBA game. We're not even talking a game that has LeBron in it or the Lakers. We're not talking about a top NBA. We're just talking an average game. So, of course, ESPN going to look at that and be like, we could just put a softball game around that time. It's probably going to get higher rated than this.
There's a reason that the softball games weren't cut. Well, remember ESPN Friday Night Fights, and we'd be waiting, and then a softball game is taking too long, and ESPN Friday Night Fights has to start on ESPN News, or it just starts 45 minutes late because they're not going to cut the softball game for the boxing as much as we think they should because of ratings. But Top Rank with ESPN, it was an 8-year deal. And what do they have to show for it as far as a star? They don't. They didn't produce one. Xander Zayas is still breastfeeding off the nipple, right? Like, why is this guy fighting on an undercard? Like, step this guy up. How many times we got to watch Richard Torres Jr. just dribble some guy's head into row F or section F? Step these guys up quicker. Come on. Like, Jared Anderson was supposed to be the next Riddick Bowe. What happened? He gets
when we talk about it, we get lectured, right? Oh, stop criticizing. You should understand the business of the sport. It's a business. They're like, well, it's not really good business when ESPN doesn't want to do business with you.
And part of it's not all Top Rank because part of it is Tiafimo. They build them up to this certain level, right? And they take their time doing and invest in this guy and don't even see green yet. And then this guy starts saying, I want $100 million to fight in the spear.
But don't you
Shakur Stevenson, perfect example is he puts people to sleep literally for 2 fights. And then he's talking about Top Rank's Top Rank put 10,000 people in the stands for you twice, all for you to put them to sleep. Right. And then he goes and gets these astronomical deals from the Saudis, like all these guys are doing. So ESPN seeing this and saying we can't bleed money over here.
ESPN's doing what Shakur fans are doing after the 8th round of his fights. Right, they're getting up, and they're walking out. And remember when they got mad because like I already saw somebody say this, like maybe if Top Rank wasn't showing the people leaving the arena, they would still have a contract. Like, yeah, I don't think it's that, guys. I'm just gonna put that right now. Here's what I hope happens. I hope they go back to the ESPN Friday Night Fights model, right? Go back to that, start working with smaller promoters to put on events on a Friday or whatever night. I think like a Thursday night would be good. And just go do that. Like, you don't need to be, and then have like a studio where if you want, just don't have Kriegel talking for a whole hour, you know what I mean? But have a studio where you talk about the current events like they used to do. It was like a studio show, but they would also show the a lot of the
why do I still know the name and the weight of Jared Anderson's dog? It's because Mark Kriegel talked about it so much. I don't need to know that. Show.
Hey, are we going to get a Mark Kriegel special about the end of Top Rank on ESPN?
ESPN boxing was at its peak when Max Kellerman would show up with the leather jacket on, and it was like it just felt like hardcore boxing fans coming together, and they would just show the fights, and then they would have their in between some fights they'd go back to the studio with Brian Kinney and Max Kellerman and talk some big fights, and then go right back to the fight, and Teddy Atlas is yelling at referees. That was peak ESPN. It turns out this is overproduction. This is too many voices. It just never flowed, and they never produced a star, and that's sad. It's sad. And Top Rank's looking at it. Where's the star? Where is he? Where's the next Canelo? We were told there's going to be a next. There's no next Canelo. So that's where we are. And look, 2 people have said this: the Ali Act. Watch out for it. And there's going to be people's heads exploding over this. And I'm doing a deep dive into the Ali Act. What I would say is, for the people who want the Ali Act to stay around, once again, Has the business of boxing gotten better? Have less fighters gotten screwed since the Ali Act has come around? We have to look at these things.
There's ways around the Ali Act and that
And
get
we see it.
exploited all the time.
And
All the time.
none of these writers whose heads are exploding about, oh my God, the Ali Act's gonna go away, and oh my God,
Like, supposedly, I heard, it could get rid of the options. It should get rid. Like, first of all, they still do options on these fighters. Fighters still sign contracts where, like, if they win, they need to stay with that promoter for X amount of fights, and they get stuck with that promoter. That still happens.
Promoters are still managers at the same time and just calling themselves an advisor.
We got like. And then you got countries that don't even follow. Like in Mexico, they don't follow the Ali Act. We care about the Ali Act in Mexico. In Mexico, they could wipe out a loss from your record. Like you know what I mean? Like, no problem. Like, but I'm supposed to be worried about the Ali Act going. Like, here's the thing. I do agree with the transparency aspect of the Ali Act, but that's about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So the thing is, though, the sport needs to be consolidated in every manner. So there's so many unimpressive, unintelligent, snake oil salesmen, fake entrepreneur middlemen in the sport now because of stuff like this. They're doing this thing where certain guys have to be. Do you even know what Tom Brown's voice sounds like? Do you know? This dude's a promoter allegedly. Have you ever seen him really promote anything?
Well, sometimes, like, when you see, the thing is, Al Heyman, he has the strings on his fingers, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes, like, I'm kind of familiar, like, when he raises the ring finger on his right hand, Tom Brown does like the like noise, you know what I mean? and then when I know, like, on the left hand, when he raises his index finger, Tom Brown does, yes sir, whatever you want, sir. You know what I mean? And then the pinky says, welcome to PBC. I'm familiar with that, but I don't remember what his voice sounds like.
I've never heard this guy promote anything. He just, like, he 5 times last year, he just, like, dusted himself off, and he goes to a press conference and does the bare minimum, and he's out. Where are these guys who are promoting fights? Where have the promoters gone?
I'm the puppet master at Calix. Look, I proof. I'm
so
right.
You want me to get up in arms about the Ali Act when part of what it's done is it ushered in unimpressive people like this who we have to give money to and go through this charade like, oh my God, Al Heyman's not a promoter. Yeah, sure he's not. Al Heyman's not a manager. Yeah, sure he's not. He's an advisor, right? And he's doing it because he can hire these shadow promoters to promote his fights. It's absurd. Chico 999 super chat. Talk about TKO and Ari Emanuel taking over. ESPN is leaving combat sports, and let them know Calix MAGA winning and will repeal Ali. Calix, tell them who was Trump's former talent agent. So
is that true?
Super chats. So what Drew?
Is that Drew?
Oh, that's Drew.
Okay. I'm like, it sounded Drewish, but go ahead.
That's my guy, Drew. But we've talked about this stuff, and
shout out to Drew. By the way, thanks for the support. Thanks for the donation.
Yeah, I think major changes are coming. Summer, fall, major changes are coming. A consolidation is coming. We talked about this about 1.5 years, 2 years, right? The Saudi project in particular is they're pouring a ton of money into this sport, and they're the only ones willing to do it. So you got to take it, or else this sport isn't going to get cleaned up. No hopes of it. And it may end up failing, D-Style, but in order for it to happen, a lot of people need to be on board. A lot of things need to happen. Ali Act may be one of those things that needs to go away. And
or reformed. It could be reformed, but
or reformed
or go away, but either way.
And the Ali Act, you could do a whole show on the Ali Act and how it's
very much. The problem is this, though,
like very much not clear on what it actually is.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, right? If there's ways around it, and we all see the ways around it,
yeah,
right? Like, if you know that all you got to do is say the magic words, "I'm an advisor, not a promoter," even though we know you're the promoter. And then all your sycophants just play along and like, no, he's not a promoter. He's an advisor. Like you know what I mean? It's that easy to like.
Is jaywalking a real law if everybody's walking across the street and nobody's saying anything? Like what is that, right?
Well, I'm not jaywalking. You know, you got to give me a ticket for it to be official. Like I don't know. I just think the whole thing's dumb. Shout out to Chico CEO of Tokyo, used to be Trump's talent and agent. That's what he said.
Yeah, and look, this is one of the things that does make it realistic. Is you don't even have to look at that. You look at Dana White's relationship with Trump, and I don't want to get political into that, but what I'm saying is it makes it realistic that an executive order can do away with the Ali Act. And the reason you bring that up is the atmosphere is changing to where this sport needs to be consolidated. That's what they're talking about at this point. And the Saudis are talking about a consolidation project right now. And that's going to be the.
But it's going to happen, Calix, because like, here's the thing. When you have everybody on board, usually means it's going to happen. Right? He's got, like, the Saudis got the sanctioning bodies. Like, do you remember last year when Mauricio Suleiman came out and he's like, puffed his chest out and he's like, the WBC is a real organization. We're not in for the money like the Ring. The Ring is an organization trying to make money. They're not a real organization. And then as soon as Turkey bought it, the dude's over there at the Ring Awards. You know what I mean? Holding hands with Turkey. He's got no problem. Oh, God bless Turkey.
And we all know what
the fighters are on board. The fighters are bypassing the promoter, going straight to Turkey because they got the money. The managers are on board because they're the middleman for no reason getting the money. All right, and for the most part. And then of course you got the promoters they're all on board. They're holding hands and kumbaya, cooking themselves to Turkey already. Like they're already doing it.
It's a peaceful takeover until it has to be hostile. That's what I've been saying.
Eddie Hearn's already like openly saying it. He's already like, yeah. We will totally do whatever he wants. Yeah.
And it would be smart for them to all play ball because one, they need to see where this is headed and they're being priced out. But also get ahead of it while they're overpaying. While they're overpaying, because eventually when the consolidation ends, there's going to be a rug pull. You and I both know this. There's going to be a rug pull where all of a sudden, you're getting paid this much, but guess what? The new price is down here. There's going to be another reset. This is a reset, but there's going to be another reset that comes when the consolidation is finished. There's no way it's sustainable. Look, you've talked about this, and I know they got money flowing in like crazy. I understand the 2030 vision and the project that they're doing, but at some point, it has to become sustainable to where they want to stay in. And that's when the rug pull comes. And it's going to be a frightening time to be a fighter at that point. So get what you can get right now. Ring Magazine, very smart. Very smart. We all go there for the ratings. We all go there for that belt. It is the belt. It's the Rocky belt, right?
That was the move, though, because I'm like, he wants that belt.
He wants the belt. He wants the
ranking
system. And on top of that, look, and I like Ring. I like the people over there, but at the same time, it gives them a media arm, right? You can call
another thing
media. You can call it whatever you want, but it's smart, right? It's a smart play in that when they say Ring staff, when they write an article, that's Turkey writing that article. I think everybody knows that, right? It's Turkey writing the article. So he's playing with the Canelo negotiations. He's got Ring over here. He's able to say things like, we're going to fight at Allegiant Stadium. Allegiant Stadium, there's a college football game going on that night. So he can do that. Canelo can use his arm of the media to go back, and they were perfectly negotiating publicly is what they were doing, back and forth. And that's the beauty of having Ring Magazine with you, is you can sort of...
Well, we know what we're going to do to that college game. And I was going to go up to them and be like, look, motherfuckers. Get the fuck out of here.
He's not going to have to. He's not going to have to. He's got Turkey to do it for him.
No, but they can't. Contractually, they can't do it. If there's already a college game there, that's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
They'll just have to do it at Like, first off, it doesn't. I don't know what this obsession with. It has to be at a stadium if it's a big fight. The biggest fights of all time were in arenas. Like, it's okay, guys. We could do it at T-Mobile, but
Yeah.
I would love it to be in a stadium because then a lot of us could go and afford it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But according to Drew's friend, Canelo tickets go sell for hotcakes. So,
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out in
find out.
September.
You know,
And
but
and that's going to be his last Vegas fight for last America fight for quite a long time.
hey, one last thing I want to say about this Top Rank deal before we talk about the Top Rank card that's coming. At some point, like, because you mentioned it, right? It's gonna be a horrible time to be a fighter, like, because the rug's gonna be pulled from under them, and they're gonna be like, "Yo, what happened to all this money all these guys were making?"
Mm-hmm.
And now these purses are dropping dramatically, right? Like, I don't know how that's gonna go down, Alex. Like, if fighters are expecting to make a certain amount of money when they get to a certain level, and then the rug gets pulled, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, now you're gonna make like your market value, like, you know what I mean? You're not gonna make anywhere near that amount of money that we're throwing at these other guys.
Mm-hmm.
How is that gonna go down? Like, how like, you know what I mean? Like that's the part where I'm like, I guess they're not gonna have a choice, maybe, but like, not even a boxing fan in the US is wired to think that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everyone just thinks of it like we have boxing fans that make fun of each other because their fighter makes more money than the other guy's fighter. This is the mindset of the American boxing fan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, we have Devin Haney fans that go around like, "Oh, your fighter doesn't make as much as Devin Haney." Like they're the ones that make the money.
The Shakur, Tiafimo, Devin, they're the ones that are going to benefit from this current market, right? It wouldn't shock me to see Tiafimo Lopez fight at Alcatraz, right? They throw a bunch of money at him. Stuff like that would not shock me. And, but it's going to be the fighters coming up 5-7 years from now that there's going to be a market where you have to, and this is what we learned from Jake Paul, Ryan Garcia, you have to get out and promote yourself. When I had Jay Chaudhry on the show last year, he said, you got to get out, promote yourself. You got to get out on Instagram, TikTok, make yourself a star early on or before you even become a fighter. And then you can dictate your terms. Then you can become a star,
Right.
no matter who you fight, no matter how many times you fight. These fighters right now are lazy. They're lazy. They're having money thrown at them that they're not producing this type of money to have this money come back at them. So they're lazy right now. But at a certain point, you're gonna have to produce what you're
They're
worth.
lazy from you mean like a social media aspect?
Everything. They're lazy from whatever. Look at Brian Norman Jr. I'm not gonna fight that fight. No, I'm not gonna fight that fight. I'll just stay down here at this level and get an easy fight. Eventually somebody's going to throw some money at me like they're throwing at these other fighters. So I'm not going to fight this fight right now and risk it. I'm not going to be on Instagram and TikTok and getting creative and do your own reality show. You don't have to have DAZN do it for you. Do your own reality show. Do your own content. Do your own documentary. Do this stuff. Learn from these guys. Have your own YouTube channel like this. People will tune in, and they're not going to do it. They're not doing it. They're too lazy. They're too lazy.
Well, this is what a shout out to Troy Mack, HLD, Mr. T, Real Talk Combat Sports, Team Batman, HLD. I think I said hi to him as well. DB Boxing Fan, how's it going? Chico as well, and Chauncey Pearls in the building. We're going to see where all goes, guys. I do hope they bring back the Max Kellerman leather jacket style boxing. It's all about how you package it. If we know it's local fights, but it's ESPN Friday Night Fights, we'll tune in.
Yep.
It is what it is. But it is what it is. So, Baranik, Keeshawn Davis.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really good fight, and I like Keeshawn in this fight. it may not. I think it's going to get tough around the middle rounds.
You think so?
Right? I do, but I do think the beginning of the fight and the end of the fight, I think Keeshawn Davis wins this fight convincingly. But
You
I do
think
think the middle round
decision?
will get tough.
You think a decision?
I am thinking decision. Yes, tough Ukrainian. It is what it is.
Yeah, the decision is minus 125. The knockout, from what I saw, was plus 175. So I'm gonna throw a little down on the Keeshawn Davis stoppage. I think this is one of those fights that he's minus 750 to win. So it's a decent scrap, and it's certainly a step up for Keeshawn Davis, but he's a guy I wasn't sold on 2 or 3 years ago, but he just seems to be getting better and better and better each fight. He's more impressive to me each fight. He sits down on his punches. He wants to put on a show. He puts punches together nicely. He's an entertaining American fighter. He really is, and we need some of those. So he can fill seats where they're putting him. So he's a guy that we want to be successful, right? So I think he's getting better. I think it's time for him. I think he's going to put on a show. I think he's one of those fighters who understands the moment and wants to put on a show. So I think Baranchik's going to be in trouble in this fight towards the middle rounds. I actually think the opposite. I think Baranchik will show himself well. He's a tough fighter early on in the fight, but his age is going to show up. 36, 37 years old. His age is going to show up. Keeshawn Davis is going to step on it and get him out of there late. I like a late stoppage in this, Keeshawn Davis.
Yeah. I mean, it should be you do think you're confident in the stoppage?
Not confident, no. But I think it'll get dicey late, and he's the type of guy who wants to get dicey for Baranchik, and he's the type of guy who wants to put on a show. So I like this late stoppage play. If not, if it goes decision, I'm in agreement with you. I think it'll be 9-3, 10-2 type of fight.
Do you think people are overrating Baranik because of that Navarrete win? And kind of, because to me, Navarrete he didn't look that good in that fight.
I think he's one of the weaker. Baranchik's one of the weaker champions in the sport for sure. This is a smart play for Top Rank to put him in there with Baranik, get him a belt, and position him for some unifications, possible unifications later on. Because Lomachenko, if he doesn't retire, he's still there. Remember, Baranik and Lomachenko aren't going to fight each other because they're countrymen, which I hate, right? You know I hate that. But if Keeshawn Davis gets the belt, then you can do that unification if Lomachenko does stick around.
So Lomachenko versus Keeshawn and Riyadh season?
Possibly. Who knows? Who knows?
I got Keeshawn Davis winning the fight. I just don't think he's going to stop Baranik, but we'll see. But if he does it, it will be a late round stoppage, in my opinion. I don't think we're seeing an early stoppage. But
no.
We're going to see, though, because there's some fights where Keeshawn hasn't looked all that great. And then he comes back and he looks amazing. And then it's like, it's one of those, it's been some growing pains with him. So we're going to see, what do you think? If Keeshawn wins, you think they're ready to do that Cruz fight? Because they've been talking about it. He's been going back and forth with Eddie about it. Eddie keeps reminding him that he always beat him in the amateurs. So
you talking about your boy Isak?
No, I'm talking about the Cuban.
Oh, Andy Cruz. Okay.
Andy Cruz, yeah. I know Isak is the main topic of discussion when it comes to individuals, but yeah, I'm talking about Andy Cruz.
Possibly. And by the way, I'd pick Davis in that fight to beat Cruz. I think Davis is coming along a lot stronger and developing a lot faster than Cruz is. And at this point, I'd pick Keeshawn without even blinking. I'd pick Davis to win that fight.
Okay. All right. Interesting. So, I think I need like a couple more fights from Andy Cruz. Like I need like 2 or 3 more fights at least before I could even think about that fight. But hey, Eddie's been putting out there. So what are you gonna do? But he did beat Keeshawn Davis though. Have you seen that famous clip of Kevin Hart and and Snoop Dogg. I don't know if you guys have seen it where like they're like Keeshawn's like he's all talking to the camera, like what's up, and then Andy Cruz is celebrating in the back because he just lost. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but I think that's a hilarious little segment there. Iceman says Keeshawn didn't even want to shake Andy Cruz's hand. When? I'm not familiar with this whole thing. They didn't shake his hand. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's a clip that they can use somehow incorporated into the promotion of that fight if they ever make it, right? So, because it has Snoop Dogg and Kevin Hart in it, so I think more people have seen that of Keeshawn than any of his fights ever, So let's talk about Canelo, Calix. Talk about your guy. 4-fight deal. He's going to start a Riyadh season against William Skull. He snubs the fight that I know you behind the scenes were working so hard to make. Calix was working behind the scenes to make that Jake Paul fight. He wanted that fight so bad. I know you're heartbroken. I know you wanted to fight. Like, I get it, Calix. It would have been a big event. What were we calling it? The biggest event that could be made in boxing.
It would have been. It would have been.
I guess, but I mean, William Skull, though. You know what I mean? Like, you could just use an emoji for that fight. Like Canelo versus, just put the skull emoji, and you're good, right? But are you devastated that the Jake Paul fight's not happening?
Yeah, devastated.
Are you sad?
I'm sad.
Because I know you say you didn't care for the fight, but at the same time, you were really like pushing for that fight.
No, not devastated at all. In all seriousness, but William Skull, what would you consider the worst undisputed fight in modern boxing? Would you consider it Canelo versus Skull or Crawford versus Indongo? Which one would you say? The betting odds actually say is Canelo versus Skull, because right now Canelo is a minus 3,000 favorite against Skull. The issue with Skull is he's economical, can't punch. He can't do it. You remember Adrian at the top of the stairs? You can't do it. You can't beat this guy. You can't win. You can't win. That's Skull's wife. If he's married, that's Skull's wife right now, because he can't win. He can't win this fight.
But the wife says, "Go get knocked the fuck out. I want that paycheck." You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the wife's done. But
I'm interested to see how this is sold. I'm assuming it's going to be a pay-per-view. I'm interested to see what the price point on it will be, how it's sold. But it's going to be a tough sell, man. It really will, because you're doing it in Riyadh. And I'm not one of those people saying, "Oh my God, Riyadh, you can't do fights there." Look, man, y'all have been ignoring where fights happen for years, so you got to deal with it. He's fighting in Riyadh. That's the more intriguing storyline here, is where this contract is happening, where 3 of these four fights are happening. That's the more intriguing play, because as far as in the ring, there's not much going on to me that's intriguing about Canelo the past 3-4 fights, right? The Mel fight was what it was. Munguia, he fought Munguia. I thought that was a good fight, but turns out Munguia gets knocked out. So that win didn't age as well. And now Berlanga's about to fight on an undercard next month. So that one's not aging as well. And now he's going to fight William Skull, which is still, it seems every fight is a step down, step down, step down. And it's being pitched as the first fight in a 4-fight deal. But the problem with that is a lot of people consider this his 3rd or 4th straight mid tune-up style fight.
Yeah, but right? Here's the thing about Indongo. Like Indongo, I mean, he beat Ricky Burns right before that fight.
Indongo went and got 2 belts on the road. So he went to, I believe, Russia. Then he went to the UK. and he went and got some belts, and then brought him back to Omaha, and they went for undisputed. The problem with Skull, once again, is people are wondering how he even got up there. They stripped Canelo of the belt, and Skull gets the belt. Now they're going to pitch Canelo versus Skull as undisputed. So undisputed is no longer a selling point, and that's why I'm wondering how they're going to sell this fight. Because if they're selling it for undisputed, that's not going to work. Because you've talked about it, like when you see people, when Teofimo wins one belt and people are calling him undisputed at 140, you're like, well, all right, what's happening now? What is this? What is this? At that point, the belts are meaningless because you're saying he doesn't need those other three belts.
You want to stagger in stat, Calix?
What's that?
Ndongo has only won 2 of his last 11 fights.
Yeah. And I think that's what people are saying. They see William Skull as that type of fighter, a guy it's William Skull.
Yeah, I don't think William Skull's going to go 1-9 in 11 fights.
Maybe not.
But the other problem with Ndongo, a lot of these losses are like TKOs, and so it does kind of it is like a very look. We have to take things from when they fought. That's the important part. When they fought, it was a decent fight, right? It didn't age well, right? Then Ndongo win aged like milk in the middle of the sun. Like, I get it. So only time will tell, to be honest with you. We're not going to know the answer to that until maybe 2-3 years from now.
Yeah.
Which one is a more significant win? But I will say this, with all that said, I mean, it's William Skull emoji. I mean, that's what he's fighting. First of all, I've been thinking this. I don't want to say it, but HLD already said it. Like, your name's William Skull, and you're from Cuba? Like, what's going on here? Like, what do you mean your
name? Why
is
you hating on William Skull?
Like, what do you mean your name is William School? Like, how do you like? Nah, bro, you are not from Cuba with that name. You made up that name. Is that like a real name?
Mm-hmm.
Is Skull like a well-known Spanish last name?
It can be.
Is it?
I don't know. The thing is, nobody knows anything about him. When you see hardcore,
surname has medieval roots in England and Ireland. Like, something isn't right here.
I think you see a lot of hardcore boxing podcasts that I've watched the past couple of days. They're doing deep dives into William Skull because they simply don't know him, and trying to figure out, can this somewhere, like, can we angle it to where it's somewhat interesting of a fight? And it's just not there. It reminds me of Berlanga. Yeah. Once again, there were some angles there that they could play, Puerto Rico versus Mexico, stuff like that, right? But with this one, I don't see what is the play. And besides, the play is, let's have this for undisputed and have Canelo versus Bud for undisputed. That's the play. But at the same point, everybody knows what that is, because listen to what I just said: Canelo versus Bud for undisputed. That means Skull is meaningless in this scenario.
Yeah, like, let me put it this way. Look, I'll put it this way to you guys, and I've been saying this for a while. Canelo is the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, right? Oh, but he doesn't have the IBF. He doesn't have, like, you can tell me whatever you want. Did Canelo lose? Did somebody beat him at super middleweight? No, right? Politics had him stripped of the belt. William Skull fought for a vacant belt, right? And because of that, people want to say he's not undisputed. He's undisputed.
Mm-hmm.
Skull is just another title defense, the way I see it. Right? Now, I know that technically on the books, it's going to say 2-time undisputed champion, whatever. That's the side note. But I don't care about this fight.
That's what makes Undisputed watered down is stuff like this. It makes it political and watered down. And that's why I understand the arguments y'all had at that point is Teofimo is undisputed. Why? Because we say he is. I mean, all this stuff is political over here anyway. I just noticed that, look, man, I think people are pretending to be interested in things that they're not interested in. I mean,
people are pumping them up. Like,
it's like people are starting to sound like the Mayweather fans a little bit now, where undefeated champion, he's a champion. It's like they do that thing where Floyd has so many wins against all these champions, and you're like, Robert Guerrero, really? Like we know that was a cherry pick.
Like,
and then he beat so many undefeated fighters. It's like, come on, man. It's William Skull. Selling me on beating an undefeated fighter. You know how many fighters out there that aren't that good that are undefeated right now that somebody can fight?
Like,
if you come up with a list of a dozen fighters, just pick 12 fighters that you want to see Canelo fight. William Skull would be nowhere near that list. Nowhere near it. Like, let's stop pretending here. Look, we can all be fans of Canelo without pretending to be interested in this stuff. Come on, stop. Stop with this. Like, we're losing patience with that. Stop. Just stop. Just say you're going to support Canelo. You're going to support the fight. I'm going to watch it. I like it. I support Canelo. I'm a fan, but don't try to sell us on stuff that is non-existent. That it doesn't. Come on.
Chico wants to know if you're tired of all the winning Calics.
The Canelo winning? Is that what he's talking about? The Canelo winning? But no, look, man, it's okay. It's a tune-up. Now I'm waiting for something interesting to happen. I'm waiting for something interesting to happen.
I just don't.
I'm very much more interested in the business.
Yeah, but why can't I just say a Canelo fight sucks? Is what I want to know. So if I say, you know what, this fight sucks, bro. Like, I'm gonna say it because it does, right? Oh, but what about these guys? Look at who they're fighting. Okay. Yeah. A lot of fighters are fighting fights that we don't like and we say suck too. Mm-hmm. But it's just what it is. Like, the fight, it just, I'm not that excited about it. Ooh, William Skull. I'm just not like, I can't. I can't bring myself to be like, oh, what do you mean? It's William Skull. Like, he's undefeated. He's never been beat. Like, what's his record? 20-something?
He's 23-0, 9 knockouts.
Okay, so 23 have tried. 23 have failed. Like, what are we doing? Like I'm not gonna pretend I'm up for the fight. Let's find the guy.
Look, the positive of this is he's going to Saudi. And the reason I mean that is it's gonna force a reset. And to that, I'm very much I'm very much thankful to Canelo for that.
Like here's the thing, like this is supposed to be an owning, right? Like, oh, it's ironic you're gonna be watching something that sucks. Like, I'm probably not gonna watch it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm probably gonna be doing something else. But let's say I do watch it. Mm-hmm. What's with this pleasure people get of like, yes, this is one of the top fighters in the sport. I know you want to watch him fight better opposition or a fight that you're going to be more excited about, right? Because we only got him for a couple more fights. But you're going to watch him fight William Skull. You just got owned. Like, what?
And you watched the Berlanga fight. So this is, you would agree, is a step down from Berlanga.
I'm not even sure about that, to be honest with you. But like,
or maybe you just want something interesting to happen.
Can Berlanga beat William Skull? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not.
These guys aren't fighting each other. They're all waiting to just fight Canelo, so we don't know how good they are when they fight each other. Right? They're agreeing. They won't even fight each other after Canelo beats them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is where we are. Right.
So as far as the fight, there's nothing interesting to talk about. But the interesting thing is the business side of it is this accelerates the power structure going east. This accelerates boxing headed east, because if Canelo's doing it, look, Canelo is still Canelo. Despite what we think about his fights recently and all this stuff, he's still Canelo. He's still so him going east, it's going to leave a vacuum in the American boxing market because what is he telling you? He's saying 2026, I'm not going to be fighting in America. I'm not. I'm gone. I'm fighting in Riyadh. And I'm doing it in February. I'm doing it in October. I'm not doing it in May. I'm not doing it in September. So it leaves this vacuum there that it's what we've been warning. The time is here now. It's here now to where after this September, when he fights Bud for undisputed, because William Skull doesn't matter. After that, May, September, who's going to pick up that date? Who do you have warmed up in the bullpen? There is no Canelo coming behind Canelo. We've been we've been telling you, where's the next guy? Where's the next guy? And it's not up to Canelo to pass the torch. You don't put that on Canelo. Canelo is out there doing Canelo things. He's fighting the fights up until the past couple of years. So who's the next guy?
Very true.
He's gone.
Let me
Canelo.
Shout out to Chico. Shout out to Chico again. Says, has Joe Habib admitted PVC on Prime was a flop? I don't know. I don't know if he has. I don't know.
Look at this. Turkey wants Inoue versus Junto because Bam is shook. Look, man, let's dispel this rumor real quick that we.
Oh, did I miss that one? My bad.
That we are.
He's gonna think I skipped that on purpose. I didn't see it.
That we're carrying water for Bam and all this stuff, and we're making excuses for him. Look, man, all I'm saying is, look, I love Bam versus Junto. Why can't I be fans of both of them? By the way, I'm huge fans of both of them. I got them both in my top 5 pound for pound.
Chico is trying to spread Latino versus Japanese hate, right?
He's trying to be divisive.
He's trying to be divisive is what he's doing. He's trying to get Mexicans and Japanese people to hate each other. Yes. I want to bring the Japanese people and the Mexican people together.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? For a common cause, the love of boxing, right? And we have these two, great talents, right? And I think they should both be allowed to shine. They're rulers of their respective divisions, right? And I've been preaching for years about, elevating fighters in their respective divisions, and we've always had issues with guys that just jump around, like if it's an old hip hop song from division to division.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, look, Bam, I'm fine with him fighting title fights at 115. Would I love to see Bam versus Junto next fight? Yes, but I'm not gonna say Bam is ducking Junto based off of that. You could make the same argument about why isn't Inoue versus Junto happening, and Turki Al-Sheikh is saying he'll possibly do that fight in December. Nobody would love Inoue versus Junto more than you and I. And if there is a fighter that I think is going to beat Inoue, it's Junto. Nobody is a bigger fan of Junto than myself. Carlos M can tell you that. And Chico is behaving like he's a bigger Junto fan than I am. Nobody's a bigger fan of Junto. But at the same time, look, man, I'm not going to throw Bam under the bus.
He's masquerading as a fan of Junto.
Yeah. To create division is what he's doing.
Create division is what he's doing. That's 100%. And then he's trying to create issue with Latinos and Australians too, which is what this is about. So the channel is a Tim Zhu PR firm. We stand in solidarity with the Australian fan base as well.
Until we're not, right? Because look, if we say something negative, like it's happening with Canelo right now. Look, we're Canelo fans. All I'm saying is I don't like the fight. Hey,
Calix is the one that said it was. You have to address that one because I didn't say anything about that.
I understand completely why
Undisputed is watered down unless it's for Bam, huh? Shout out to Chico. So Calix is the one that needs to explain that one. I didn't say that.
Look, undisputed is an important thing. It's obviously politics are getting in the way, right? I do think belts matter when we do it right. But at the same time, there are cases in which the belts are very much watered down. And why are we emailing fighters belts? Why do we even strip Canelo of that belt if we know he's just going to come right back and get a shot at that belt? Why is William Skull at the top of these rankings? that's the stuff that I'm asking. But look, man, as far as the Canelo situation goes, I very much understand why he's doing the business things he's doing. He's very much flexing his muscles and showing that he is. One thing we learned D-Style last week is he's the face of boxing still by far.
Of course,
by far. And how do I know that?
Well, actually, last week, Calix was saying that Jake Paul was the face of boxing last week, but
not what I said.
Now, because he's signed with Riyadh, all of a sudden Canelo's back on top as the face of boxing. But
no, but how do I know? How do I know he's the face of boxing? Well, okay, Benavidez fights Morrell Jr. and everybody's acting like they just saw the greatest pressure fighter that ever lived, right? And
it was a good win. It was a good win.
I'm wondering where the pay-per-view numbers are, which still aren't reported. Besides Rick Glazer saying it did 70,000, I doubt it even did 70,000. Right. But it acted like I had this thought last Thursday. I was thinking about it. I was like, it seems like Benavidez and Morrell fought 6 months ago. Why? Because the Canelo timeline is so like you just get inundated with all kind of stuff that people just forget. That
well, to add to your point,
4 days ago.
To add to your point, we have people out here, including Benavidez, saying things like, well, hopefully I get the winner, better be Bivol, and I want Bivol to win because if I beat Bivol, then people will know that's the guy that beat Canelo and I beat him, right? You're still like Canelo is still like the end of the the road for you apparently, right? So he is a topic of discussion, and then Jake Paul out here like forging signatures and making up stories about how Canelo was signed a contract, even though if he would have signed the contract, he couldn't pull out of the fight, dummy. Right. And then he leaves the part where it's a non-disclosure agreement. But I do want to say this. I do question the signature, by the way. But why was Canelo signing a non-disclosure agreement with Jake Paul?
Look, I don't know. What I would tell you is nobody else is gonna use Jake Paul as leverage to get a bigger deal with the Saudis. It's just the Canelo in that way, man. Even the Canelo haters have to admit this. Canelo, he's amazing, and what he can negotiate still 20 years into the sport. It also speaks to the fact that there's nobody else interesting in American boxing, to where people still feel like they have to pay so much to be in the Canelo business in order to be significant in the sport. Use Jake Paul as leverage, to use the media as leverage in negotiations with the Saudi. Dude, this is the Saudis. You realize who we're talking about? We're not just talking about some boxing fan, random boxing fan with a lot of money in Saudi that's just tossing stuff around. That's not, we're talking about princes. We're talking about people who own this oil money. We're talking about Saudi princes that this dude is using Jake Paul and ESPN for leverage against those guys. That's what we're doing. He's saying, I'm going to get money from you without holding your hand.
Yeah.
That's the type of leverage. The balls on this dude, like to do this stuff and to use that.
The question is,
for a fourth fight, and one of those fights is going to be William Skull, and they're going to pay him what they would have paid him, what he would have likely paid or close to it to fight Jake Paul. I wonder what kind of money we're talking about here in this deal. It hasn't been reported. I'm wondering what kind of money are we talking? This has to be soccer money.
Hey, I mean, it is. Shout out to Chico with the $4.99 super chat. Again, I appreciate it. He says, can we get an encore of the roundtable with Calix and that woman reporter? A lot has changed since then. And he has the LOL. So, I don't know. But a lot has changed, but a lot has remained the same. Like, you know what I mean? But the more things change, the more they stay the same in the sport of boxing. But I will say this. As far as just really quick, as far as a round table, I don't think there's going to be a round table for a while, right? I'm just going to say that right now. But
I like people don't know that I secretly like Isaac Cruz, by the way.
Look, he's already falling for the pressure, guys. He's already like you guys have broken Calix already. Like he just admitted he likes Isaac Cruz. He's like, enough, I like him. You know. Okay, I like the guy. All right,
Good Lord.
Alex. Alex.
They're over here saying, they're over here telling me, say Gulf of Mexico. Say Gulf of Mexico. Leave me alone. I like Pitbull, okay? I like him. I like him. I like the William Skull fight. All right, I give up. I give up.
Oh yeah, we love the skull fight. I mean, what an amazing event! I can't wait for that fight. Say Navarrete, Alex.
No,
It's a super chat. You got to say it.
don't do it.
You got to say it. It's a super chat. You can't like say no. You can't say no to the people when they request things.
Navarrete. Navarrete. Emmanuel no, Navarrete. There,
right.
I said it. I said it, Drew.
So, Miss Pimple Cruz is the heir apparent to Canelo.
Yeah, he's the guy. He's the guy.
I
like
when Marquez came out. He's like, he just doesn't want to give Canelo any credit. He's like,
oh my God, that guy.
I think the face is Pimple Cruz. Pimple Cruz is the face of boxing.
That guy.
When Canelo dropped the belt, this dude's out here like, yeah, William Skull, glad to talk to you. Canelo scared you and didn't want to fight you, and because you dangerous. And then the fight gets Marcus comes out. He's like, yeah, so who's William Skull? Who's William Skull? Do you know William Skull?
He's unreal. And look, another guy I love, Juan Manuel Marquez. Love him as a fighter, but good Lord, there are certain guys. Look, you think we're being negative right now? We're not. You're going to hear a lot of this. You're going to hear, I'm just getting you prepared for the next couple of months. You're going to hear a lot of what you're hearing right now. And I think that's going to be across the board. But then you go to the extreme and Marquez. Look, this dude could beat Benavidez, knock him out 3 straight times. He'll come up with something else. He'll come up with something.
Yes, he beat him, but he waited too long. And he beat him, but it's like, why now? Why did you not do this 5 years ago, Canelo? Like, he would say some shit like that. Mm-hmm. There's like no doubt in my mind that he would go there. But Drew says, Chico says, screw that Chilango tank opponent, loser Cruz. Screw that guy. Man, like Chilango just means he's a legitimate Mexican from Mexico City. That's all that means.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
even I know that.
Sure. But the thing is where was I? I don't even know where I was.
I knew it was gonna be one of those shows.
Marquez and Nacho, bro. Marquez and Nacho just like, bro, they'll be talking like Marquez will be talking like other Mexican fighters, like, you know, legends will be like trying to reason with a guy like, yeah, but he's good though, right? Like, Canelo's been doing this thing, right? And he's like, nah, not really. Nacho says things like his fights are about out. Like, he pays off his opponents. Like, this is like Dante's Boxing Nation level shit, bro. Like you know what I mean? It's like it's like the dudes that make videos and they circle things in red because that's supposed to convince us of something. Yeah, that's what Nacho Bernstein's doing. And of course, apparently he's taught Marcus to not like the guy. I don't know, man.
So apparently nobody liked my idea of Canelo fighting Jake Paul in May to build the super fight with Bud in September. Nobody liked that idea.
So let me ask you this: would you love that fight? Would you rather that fight?
I don't think it makes much of a difference.
It's gonna be a fair question. We're gonna be like, you guys are shitting on the Skull fight. So you should have just fought Jake Paul.
So Canelo versus Skull is Canelo's minus 3,000, right? So what they're saying is this is so basically, to put that in perspective, you have like an Abdullah Mason fight this weekend that's closer odds with you know a guy he's to step up fight, right? And we have
I think
Richard Torres. We have Richard Torres Jr. fights that have closer odds than that. So what they're saying is this is one of those fights to where you have a prospect fighting an Uber driver off the street. It's the comparison, right? It's a comparison. So if you're looking at it from a business standpoint, this is a very smart move for Canelo. He used Jake Paul as leverage to get a fight with William Skull. But if we're trying to build up a fight with Bud, maybe we don't have to build it up, but it's going to be hard to sell that fight to the American public in the next few months. If number one, they don't care much about Undisputed anyway. Number two, Bud's not going to fight at all. So Bud's going to go another 13, 14 months without fighting beforehand. And Canelo is going to be fighting in Saudi Arabia in May against a guy nobody's heard of. So there's going to be some sort of impact to that. But if you're looking at it from a Canelo perspective, it doesn't matter because he's getting paid. He's getting paid regardless.
Nando, did you already say it? The entire Top Rank card this weekend is a glorified infomercial.
Yeah.
There you go. And also, I don't know, man. I've been getting these complaints a lot, Calix, that when you really think about it, you really always go after the Mexican fighters. like I've been getting, you sound like an ICE agent, right? That this show is just made to gather the Mexicans so we can report everybody to ICE. To get their locations and stuff like that. That's what I've been hearing.
I'm keeping track of who's commenting. You know, we're gonna do a deep dive and we're gonna report it to Doge.
Like I'm just like Doge. Like Mexicans, we're not worried about Doge, but ICE is a different story. But like here's the thing.
Can they step up Xander Zayas? Can they step up?
Here we go. La tóxica del boxeo. Oh, the buildup for the like.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, but do you really want to see it? Do you need to see like Canelo just fuck up Jake Paul?
He was minus 4,000 mythical odds against Jake Paul. He's minus 3,000 against Skull. They're not giving Skull that much more of a chance to win than Jake Paul. So you might as well build up the fight anyway. I don't know. To me, just do the Bud fight in May. What like Bud doesn't.
That's what I'm saying. What's wrong with me?
Just do the.
but here's my thing.
Just do the Bud fight in May.
Chico says he's a smug, rich MAGA Honduran. You know what's gonna be funny? Like when Callis gets deported and they're gonna put that side by side. You know what I mean? He's like this, and they're like, "Oh man, they're gonna."
I'm gonna be
gone. Like my thing is this.
We can still do the show though, because we can do podcasts in Honduras, so we're good.
They don't have really good internet, but we'll figure it out. You
know we'll get some Starlink or whatever it's called. We'll be good.
Yeah, we'll get some Starlink satellite internet or something to get that done. But my I don't try to thought, but I don't want to see a Jake Paul fight. I'll just put it that way. Like, but I will say this:
see the William Skull fight though.
I don't.
Just do the fight in May. Come on.
But that's what I was going to say. What's wrong with May? Like they manufacture these problems that shouldn't be a problem. Like, oh, the problem is that Canelo, we need to get a fight in May, and the fight's not till September. So we have this problem. Like you created this problem. Just have a fight in May. May was just fine for like the biggest fight ever in Mayweather versus Pacquiao. There's nothing wrong with May when De La Hoya fought Mayweather, right? There was nothing wrong with May in those cases, but for some reason, right? No. May's not big enough. We got to do it till September. And then people are telling me, oh, it's because Bud wants to bulk up and get bigger, so we got to give him more time. Like he hasn't fought.
Bud has no. Look, let me tell people this. Another thing people probably will not like to hear. Bud has no say in this. Bud has no say in this. Whenever
but you better put some respect in Bud's name. He just rocked it at the Super Bowl. Okay.
Yeah,
do you not see his performance?
Bud has like 1% of the market value as Canelo does. He's lucky he's getting whatever he's getting. What I'm telling you is the fight's not happening in May because Canelo wanted to fight William Skull in May. That's the reality of the situation. So for the people upset that this fight's not happening in May, it's because Canelo leveraged it that way. Smart business move, right? But we're at that point, fellas, that I've been telling you about that Canelo could lose some fans if he stops behaving like the Canelo we all fell in love with. For me, I'll always have the first 6 seasons of Entourage. Season 7 and 8 sucked. I'll always have the first whatever seasons of Sopranos. The last season sucked. Game of Thrones. Why in the world is this girl hopping on a dragon and lighting the whole?
We have a request
the
of a
whole
super chat from Chico, by the way. Can Calix do the Trump voice?
the
Oh,
dance.
dance. My bad.
There it is, right there. YMCA. Da, 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 da. Why? But look, why is the girl hopping on a dragon and lighting the whole village on fire, right? Why is the kid in the wheelchair? Why is he getting control of everything? Why did they just say this kid that did nothing gets control in Game of Thrones? What I'm saying is we still have those first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones, however many it was. I'll always have those great moments that Canelo gave me. I'm just realistic in saying that's pretty much done. All right. You may get one big fight left in this deal, but for the most part, this is a retirement tour. And that's where we are. You got to be realistic about this, fellas. I'm not saying don't enjoy it. I'm not saying don't throw a fight party and have a great time, all this stuff. But from a competitive perspective, we got to be real about where we are. And he's going to drop on pound for pound rankings. People are going to be increasingly disinterested over time. And that's where we are.
All right. So Canelo was a bigger favorite over Yildirim, according to the bookies, than against William Skull, which shows how bad that fight was. Yeah, but here's the thing: the Yildirim fight was literally between.
I understood that
title fights.
Mm-hmm.
You know that's when he fought in Miami. Remember the Charlos were trying to own Canelo because there was empty seats.
This is our turf. Yeah, right. Wherever Canelo walks, that's his turf. When Canelo goes to Saudi is his. That's the reality of the situation. And that's from the business perspective, he's playing this highly intelligent. This dude is going to get soccer money for fights that he should win pretty convincingly. It's smart business. All I'm saying is, as a boxing fan,
here's my thing. Asking me a good point. Well, why not Crawford versus Skull? Win the IBF and then you could do the undisputed fight.
Yeah, it's because Canelo wanted to fight Skull. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying. If Canelo would have said, Bud, you go fight Skull in May and let's do this in September. If you win, they would have done it.
Bro, I love like when Canelo signaled to people, who's William Skull? All his fans were on it like, yeah, who's William Skull? Who the fuck is that? We don't give a shit about William Skull. But now they say fight William Skull. Yeah, William Skull is undefeated. He's just like I don't know, man. I just don't like the fight. Like I didn't like it then. I didn't like it when Canelo didn't like it, and I still don't like it now that Canelo likes it.
He's an undefeated champion.
They're doing the tank fan stuff. That's what tank fans do. Oh, look, his last fight opponent only had 1 loss, and that's what y'all doing, bro. Like that shit doesn't mean nothing to me. Right? You could you go to Mexico and you could pad your record your first 20 fights, no problem. Right? Look at Richard Torres is undefeated. Who the fuck has he fought? Right? Has he fought opponents any better than Jake Paul's fought? I mean, do we keep it real? Not that I'm justifying the Jake Paul fight in any way, shape, or form, but I will say this, and I will concede before we talk about this last thing. The Jake Paul fight would have been, especially if it was on Netflix, would have been huge. And because you're going to have Jake Paul fans, boxing fans, Jake Paul fans, and a lot of just people that want to just see Jake Paul get knocked the fuck out would have been tuning in. So, and we might have made a lot of money with the casuals that for some reason would believe that Jake Paul could win. So other than that, I ain't feeling it. You know what I mean? 2 quick things, Calix. One, Barboza is going to be fighting against one of the most boring fighters in Catterall, but they're marketing it brilliantly, right? They're doing the whole like, oh, look how boring I am. And they're doing that whole thing. But I think Catterall's going to win, though. I think Catterall's going to win a comfortable but competitive decision. And I don't think it's going to be that boring, actually. I think Barboza's style is going to make for a good fight, I believe. I don't think it's going to be a boring affair. I got Catterall winning decision. What say you?
Oh, it's a tough one. Love this fight. Catterall is a slight favorite. Both fighters are trending in the right direction. Catterall fought twice last year, wins against Josh Taylor, win against convincing win against Regis Prograis. And I got to be honest, Catterall was known as a boring fighter. His fights have been a little more entertaining recently, so he's trending in the right direction. I think he learned his lesson from that first Josh Taylor fight that I can't be this boring. I can't be this negative. Barboza, same thing. Barboza, 3 or 4, was it 3 or 4 fights in 2024? So active guy, one of the most active fighters in the sport right now, and he's bouncing right back beginning of 2025. I like his activity, coming off of a good win against Ramirez. So this is tough. You know what? I'm going to go with the slight favorite here. I'm going to go with Barboza to win this fight.
Oh, wow. Okay. And Cunningham saying that you complain about weird shit. I don't know what you just complained about. What did he just complain about? Right? And shout out to, we haven't done this in a while because we're a little rusty in general. We haven't been doing shows, but so we haven't done this in a while, but
give it to him.
Hey.
I'm a hard-working man.
There it is.
That's right. Okay. Shout out to Nando. We appreciate the super chat, brother. All right. And of course, let's go to Alexander Wilson. Once again, with super chat, appreciates us. Where are your thoughts on Munguia rematching Bruno? Surrounds on the Canelo card in May. Thanks for asking. And here's what I'll say. Even though he just knocked out Munguia, I'm still going to favor Munguia to win. I think Munguia stops him this time. I think Munguia was on his way to stop him. I honestly, I just believe Munguia just got caught with I'm not going to say lucky, but it was just a shot that was just very unlikely to happen. It turned off his switch, and some people feel Munguia could have continued, right? And I think Munguia would have made it past that round and eventually would have won, but the ref stopped it. Okay. But the ref, I think the ref was trying to prove he's not biased because he's Mexican, and that's why he stopped it or something. But I got Munguia winning the rematch. You, Calix?
Yeah, I think so too. Another action fight. I think it'll be a good showing from Munguia on the co-main event with Canelo. I'm interested to see how Munguia looks under Canelo's team. He kind of bounces around too from teams. So Munguia to me is an action fighter. So just keep him busy. That's all I'm worried about. I really don't care at this point if he loses more fights. I just want to see the guy fight and be in action fights. He's an action fighter.
100%.
Fight him.
100%.
But he'll win. I think he'll win that in that spot.
So that's our prediction for tomorrow. And one last thing, Usyk, he's saying 2 more fights, and it's peace. Literally, 2 means peace.
Yeah.
And he's out. He's done. And that's just the way he feels. What thoughts on that, Alex?
He's made a bunch of money. He's already got people having him on all-time heavyweight lists. All-time.
By the way, Drew's going to say he's retiring to avoid Nagatani.
I know. And and no, he's not, because Drew slurps Usyk. Good Lord, Drew, you can't say anything negative about Usyk, or Drew's gonna come after you with the Usyk police.
Well, he's gonna hate this next thing I'm gonna bring up. Go ahead.
Oh, Drew thinks that Usyk can beat Muhammad Ali. That's what he thinks, right? He thinks he can beat George Foreman in his prime. He thinks he can beat Joe Louis in his prime. That's what Drew thinks. He thinks he's the greatest heavyweight that ever lived and one of the greatest fighters that ever lived. That's Drew jumping the shark on the Usyk talk, right? Even though Drew hates on Tyson Fury constantly. He thinks Tyson Fury is a dude who can't chew gum and walk at the same time. Tyson Fury, what a slob. And then based off of 2 wins against Tyson Fury, Drew's one of those guys that says stuff like, oh my God, Usyk, look at that performance against Fury. Oh my God, look at that performance. Usyk is the greatest heavyweight that ever lived. That's Drew. That's Drew. So if you want to know who Drew is, Drew will never let you say anything negative about Usyk.
True to form.
See, there it is.
True to form.
There it is. True form.
Okay, Usyk can do no wrong. He beats Ali. Easy work. Not only does it beat him, it's easy.
Yeah. Yeah. So Usyk retiring after 2 fights, he'll be done. It's just another legend in the sport retiring, right? So we're at that point now where Bud's looking for his cash out against Canelo. Usyk's got 2 more fights, likely at heavyweight against Dubois, somebody else, and he'll retire. And then Canelo is sort of on this 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out the door, semi-retirement tour, to where I'm still hoping we get one big fight out of this 4-fight deal, one competitive fight. I do believe him when he says he wants to fight Bivol. I do believe that. So who knows? Maybe undisputed at 175 fight is in the works for Canelo in 2026. I still have hopes for that stuff like that. But what I'm saying is it's time for the younger guys to come up. It's time for Junto. It's time for Bam. It's time for these fighters to come up in the sport.
100%. I prefer seeing Usyk versus Parker. I like that fight. And I actually mentioned that fight not that long ago, and I hope Parker wins because that is a great boxing match, right? And I would like to see it. Usyk wins, but I just think it's a tougher fight for Usyk stylistically than Dubois. I don't think Dubois stands a shot. Usyk already destroyed him, and it'll happen again. Quite frankly, I don't. You know what? I don't believe. I don't believe this whole because Dubois was thrown off because the fight was in Poland. Like, I've heard people say that. I just don't buy it. Right? It's just my opinion. But with that said, we'll see if he retires or not. All right. Look at that. Muhammad Ali, number 1. Joe Louis, 2. Rocky Marciano, 3. Foreman, 4. 5, Jack Johnson. 6, Jack Dempsey. 7, Lennox Lewis. 8, Evander Holyfield. 9, Mike Tyson. 10, Alexander Usyk. Here's what I will say. When you do lists like this, this is just my opinion, but to avoid recency bias, you should probably not include active fighters. That's just my opinion. It's not a rule everyone should follow, but I personally wouldn't have. I know Drew might dislike hearing this, but I wouldn't put Usyk on there because of recency bias and because he's not done yet. Let's let him finish his career. Let's let it kind of simmer a little bit and see how it all ages, right? I think that's very important. Probably makes the top 10, but I personally would have put him on there because he's still active, right? Rocky Marciano's too high, right? Why? Because he's undefeated? That's why he's number 3? No, I would have him in the top 10, but a very high, like 9 or 10. If that, I probably still won't have him in the top 10, but I would have Marciano a little lower. I like Foreman where he's at. I don't disagree with Joe Louis. Don't really disagree with Ali. Lennox seems about right. And I don't care. Mike Tyson, bro, has to be one of the most overrated heavyweights of all time. He's not a top 10, in my opinion. All right?
Really?
No. He lost to Buster Douglas, brother, in his
youngest
prime.
heavyweight champion of all time, though.
Yeah, he's top 15. Solid. And a haplotype, so he's going to get pissed. Haplotype is the greatest ever. But, like, it's not a crime to have him at 9 or 10. I would just have him a little.
Haplotype has no credibility because he thinks Calzaghe's the greatest super middleweight of all time. But what I'll say is,
one more thing.
Yeah,
take Jack Dempsey off the list. You don't get to duck all the black fighters and then be like, "Oh, I'm going to be number 6 on the list."
You know how Chet's telling me I hate Mexico. I think you hate white people. You think Marciano's too high? You want to take Dempsey off the list?
No,
what is
Jack
it?
Dempsey's on this list. No, Jack Dempsey being
going on.
No, Jack Dempsey being on that list is DEI, bro. That's what that is. Okay, I love Jack Dempsey. I love watching him fight. I think he was a great fighter, but
great prize fighter. Yeah,
you don't get to just duck a whole freaking slew of fighters and be on a number 6 on the list.
You DEI'd him, huh?
None of these other fighters, none of them got to duck the smoke with a whole race of people. Like none of them, no one on that list, right? Every single person on that list fought whoever was available, right? Take Jack Dempsey off that list, bro. That's I'm just saying. And one thing, and I'll let you go. Chico, the comment section, there's no energy from Calix. He hung with Mexicans, no problem in Vegas. Usyk don't have enough fights at heavy to beat top 10. He actually says he shouldn't be top 10. Oh my God.
I like
Take back what
this
you said.
comment.
You
I
said
like this
he's a
comment.
slurper for Usyk, but he just made a reasonable point.
Oh man, I bash Drew and then he comes through and protects me. He protects me and then he gives
After you
unbiased.
stabbed him in front of everybody.
I'd
After you
probably
stabbed him and
right.
slapped him, and he comes out and not only does he make a good point, he defends you.
And I'd probably have Usyk higher than him on all-time great heavyweight list from what I'm hearing. But the thing that stuck out to me about this list is Larry. Where's Larry Holmes?
Oh, I forgot. I'm glad you mentioned that. Larry Holmes has to make the list. Period.
Wouldn't you have him somewhere in the middle of this list?
He belongs where Jack Dempsey is, in my opinion.
Yeah, he definitely belongs above Jack Dempsey. I always have George Foreman in my top 3. I think in his prime, I mean, just good Lord, man. One of the hardest punchers that ever lived, one of the baddest men that ever lived in his prime. And that's why, to me, Ali is number 1 because of that victory right there. To do what he did against this is why Ali will always be, to me, the GOAT. It's because look at what he faced. Look at all the turbulence he went through to get the accolades, especially in right now. I think we need to give attention to that. Who the hell fights Ken Norton 3 times? Who the hell fights Joe Frazier 3 times? Who the hell fights George Foreman in his prime? Purposely fighting him purposely, and he knows I have to fight a certain way going into this fight that I'm going to take a lot of damage. I have to do it. I have to take a lot of damage purposely for 8-9 rounds in order to eventually beat this guy. Who does that in modern boxing? Who even comes close to that? So if we're looking at it from that standpoint, Ali's got to be the GOAT, especially when we're talking about heavyweights. But Ali, Joe Louis, George Foreman, that'll always be my top 3. When you talk about Mount Rushmore, number 4, that's when it starts to get, it can go many different directions, right? So do you put Jack Johnson there based off of some of the things you said about Jack Dempsey? You can, by the way, say about Jack Johnson not fighting black fighters when he became.
But he did fight black fighters. He was a black heavyweight champion before
but he didn't give some
at
of the
least
guys like Sam Langford when he became champion a shot.
But he beat Langford.
Arguably.
He beat the midget, right? And everybody's like, but he's a lot smaller than him. So Langford gets credit. No, he beat him.
Uh-huh. So no, that's all fair conversation. But what I say is, I'm with you. Larry Holmes has to be somewhere in the middle of this list. He's got to be.
I agree with that.
The talent, the eye test. He just didn't have the competition at that time.
And for those that don't know, the reason Johnson wanted to fight the white fighters because he was making more money off the whole White Hope thing.
Yep.
Right? The crowds were showing up because they wanted to see him lose the heavyweight championship. If he would have fought another black fighter, the business wasn't there. So those that tell you that, business is new to the sport, now that shit's been going on for a long time. Right? Mm-hmm. Let's just make that very, very clear. A lot of people are not going to agree with me. I would put Floyd Patterson on top 10. And they won't agree with me because he lost to Sonny Liston, right? But he had a decent title reign, and I think Floyd Patterson is the better all-time ranking anyway. I'm talking about ranking than Mike Tyson as far as a custom auto fighter goes. Okay. No. Like I'm not saying Floyd Patterson would beat Mike Tyson in a one-on-one fight. That's not what I'm saying. But I think he ranks higher on the all-time list.
Usyk wins 2 more fights at heavyweight. I think that make him 7-0, 8-0 at heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd be in that conversation. It's just tough because Klitschko
rematching these dudes, bro.
It's just tough because Klitschko has to be in there somewhere. Is Usyk a greater heavyweight than Klitschko? I don't know.
Give me Klitschko over Dempsey. My opinion. Oh, what do you mean? Easy. Why? Because Dempsey. Why is Dempsey on his list, bro? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Right? So, is there anyone other than Larry Holmes that you would add on here? Take somebody out. Or is that pretty solid for you right there?
It's pretty solid. I think that's pretty solid. I would just move some people around. Foreman's got to be 3 for me. I agree with you. Marciano drops, and I'd probably put Jack Johnson 4. And Larry Holmes, I might even have Larry Holmes 5 or 6 on this list. But Larry Holmes has to be on the list. That's the big thing. That's the big thing for me. He's got to be on the list.
All right. Chico says, stabbed. Typical Honduran tactics of Mexicans. Damn. This is Chris.
This has been quite a show. This has been quite a show.
You know, like when like the natives would be like using like guerrilla tactics against the U.S. Army, but there was always those natives that would like join the U.S. Army to go like teach them the stuff, and
that's me.
Go show them where they're hiding and like all that. That was Calix like right there.
Yeah. This one right here is interesting to me. Usyk top 10 pound for pound, but not heavyweight, because we've had these conversations. You don't have Usyk on your pound for pound list because you consider him the baddest man on the planet. If you're the baddest man on the planet, pound for pound is beneath you, right? And that's a good argument to me. But I think the value in Usyk is when we talk about all-time list, and what makes all-time list, not to go too long-winded on this, is people don't define it. There's no like parameters for it. So they just say this guy's an all-time great. All right, based off of what? Like, how do you, is it top 100 pound for pound? Is it top 200 pound for pound? How are you ranking these guys? So it's a tough conversation to have. But to me, the value in Usyk is he came in, did what he did at cruiserweight, and that's a great run. He did at cruiserweight, but then came up, people said you can't become the heavyweight champion. Why? Because you can't have success at heavyweight because these guys are so big. And that's the value in Usyk to me, is he blew that narrative to smithereens. The narrative was that Fury, and we saw Joe Habib pushing this narrative, by the way, right? That Fury and Klitschko and all these big heavyweights, these new age heavyweights, Anthony Joshua, would destroy guys like Joe Louis and smaller heavyweights, Jack Johnson, because they're naturally bigger. Well, Usyk comes in as a cruiserweight, 215, 220, and destroys these guys. And I was saying this before because Deontay Wilder becomes a champion at 215 pounds, but Usyk completely blew it to smithereens.
Why this shit? Like, what is it with this guy Kelly? I'm like, he just can't believe it. How much you could.
I like Chet. I like him. I like him.
It is what it is. Hey guys, we've been on here for a while, and we appreciate everybody that tuned in. All right. We'll see if we'll come back on. We'll talk about that. But I appreciate everybody that tuned in.
I love the skull fight. I like Eastside Cruz.
You guys broke them. It is what it is. You know, what are we going to do? With that said, guys, we appreciate you guys tuning in. This is D-Style Boxing. Until the next time. Peace.
God bless.